Started?
It's gonna look like.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Technology was made to connect us, but managed to drive us further away. We can still use these devices for what they were intended for. Let us be vulnerable and share our truths. My name is Michael.
I'm Sam.
And the topic for today is being alone. What do you think about being alone?
Boy. I feel like it's very broad because there's so many ways of feeling alone. One thing I am working on, I'm a little nervous still. I feel like that's going to happen in the beginning until we get better at it. I'll start getting comfortable, but as time goes on, I'll also get comfortable in the beginning. But what I'm working on is being alone because of my anxiety. That makes sense.
Oh, it does, yeah.
So, but that stemmed from my health issues. So me feeling like, oh my God, no one's around. Like, what if something happens and I'm here alone?
Mm-hmm. Wow, right into it. I like that. I keep going, I'm sorry.
So, but I've been through things where stuff has happened and I was alone and I was able to take care of it by myself. So I just keep having to try to remember those moments and it'll help me. But sometimes you forget. It's easy to forget and then go through those motions all over again. But that's what I'm going through. That's what I'm trying to overcome is being alone and dealing with the health issues that I have. So.
And is it your health issues where the anxiety stems from?
No, I think it's just like, maybe it could be a little bit of PTSD too. Going through, I think I did have a moment where something happened and I was by myself and I didn't know what to do.
Would you like to share?
Freaked me out. I don't really remember too much about that. I just know something happened. I can't.
Were we kids?
Really remember. Yes. Maybe that's what it was.
Was it when you were on the couch and then do you remember you had a knife in your leg? Remember that? Were you like, I don't know what happened.
I was more in shock. Oh, I was painting my toenails and Dad had like carpets piled up. And silly me, I put the scissors facing this way. Scissors. Oh. And my knee was like this, right? It was painting my toenails. And I think I might have moved. And it just dug into my knee. So now I have like a little scar.
I remember that.
But I think I was more in shock.
That wasn't
I don't think it was. No, I don't think. I was like, Mom, like I didn't really freak out about it. Yeah. So I don't really know. I can't remember. I just only remember the recent
cases.
Yes.
Where you got anxious being alone. And I know you're one to that likes to call people, like to hear
when I'm feeling anxious. Yeah.
Yeah. And have you discovered any ways to deal with your anxiousness? Like, cause I know we do different things. For example, me, I'll chew the inside of my cheek or my lip when I'm anxious. It's like a habit or a tick. You do the thumb thing, right?
Yeah.
The anxiousness.
My thumbs get super ugly.
Well,
when I shouldn't say ugly, but
you peel them.
They start scabbing and bleeding and stuff. They don't really look good. And so, but that's what I start doing.
Have you found any ways or techniques?
They look pretty now. I haven't been anxious.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. So, do I try to find ways?
Yeah. Or have you found any ways? Because we're not the only ones. That's the thing. That's the reason. One of the main reasons why this podcast was even put together was because we like to talk to people, and we come to the point where we learn a lot of people deal with very similar situations, anxieties, overthinking that we do, and simply sometimes just talking about it instead of avoiding it or kind of throwing it under the rug helps us get to the bottom of it and eventually improves the quality of our lives. Mm-hmm. And we have some notes this time. It's more structured because we have a topic, which is being alone. And for me, what I wrote down is when we're alone is, in my opinion, some from the conversations I had and also for myself, is we tend to think. When we're alone with our thoughts. When we're alone with our feelings. And that's when we start to feel and we start to think about whatever. And it's just us and that thing. And a lot of times that makes us uncomfortable. And in life, when things make us uncomfortable, we tend to avoid them. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote down here, you can't have the good without the bad. I know this has been said many, many times before, but one cannot feel good feelings without the bad feelings. Same thing with thinking. One cannot think good thoughts or happy thoughts without welcoming the bad or unhappy thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's like if you numb yourself to one thing, you usually numb yourself to them all. So dealing with these things that make us uncomfortable when we're alone allows us to be able to feel the good as well. And I know you talked about vulnerability in the last episode. You overcoming that from feeling vulnerable allows you to be vulnerable in the good situations and the bad situations. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, what do you think about that? About allowing yourself to feel what makes you uncomfortable, especially when you're alone. Not just now, that we're together, but when you're blessed with that time.
Like instead of running to someone.
Yes.
I have tried that, where I like want to pick up my phone right away and call whoever comes to mind that's closest to me. And then I'll stop myself. I'm like, no. And I'll basically give myself a pep talk. Like, look, you're fine. You're okay. It's just in your head. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not in your head. Sometimes it's physical. And you really have to listen to your body. Something is wrong. Mm-hmm. But you'll know the difference if you listen to what your body is telling you. And then if you realize, like, if you start doing something different, or I'm sorry, not different, but if you occupy yourself, and that's what I usually do, I'll occupy myself and I'll tell myself, okay, if it goes away, like for instance, my heart.
What about your heart?
If it starts racing high, so that's one of my health issues.
So what do you mean though? Like
SVT. So supraventricular tachycardia. So it's when your heart rate goes up to like 240 beats per minute.
Wow.
But with nutrition, it helps. So,
you were saying about how you give yourself a pep talk when you're alone.
Oh, yes. So when I realize that nothing's happening and it goes down to its regular heartbeat, then I know I'm okay. And then I just won't call anyone.
So have you proved to yourself that it's like all an illusion? That it's your own thoughts? And once you get those thoughts under control, you realize that everything is okay? And that's all of us, it's when we hit that realization that a lot of it's in our head. And the more time we spend alone, the more we come to realization about those things, that the things that in social environments, especially anxiety, because I say this often, that I tend to display myself as like stoic, meaning that I'm just calm and I'm collected. But usually under the surface, I have crazy anxiety. I've always have. And it's just like that, where I give myself pep talks and I tell myself like focus on the task at hand. Like in the beginning, I know like the gym is my thing. I'm a personal trainer. But when I first started going, I had the worst anxiety. Me telling myself that everyone was watching me and judging me and that I didn't know what I was doing. But I told myself to focus at what's at hand, which was the workout, which was the routine.
Do you think that stems from like confidence too?
Oh, 100%. I think so. And that's the great thing about something like the gym, is the more you go, the more your confidence builds. And that goes into every part of your life as well, is that confidence where you prove to yourself that just showing up is a game changer.
I asked that because I wasn't so confident before, and when the gym was full of people, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, I could not stand it. I was like, I don't want to go in. But as time went on, I started getting more confident within myself. It was like no-brainer.
Yeah.
Just walk in. I don't care who was there. But yeah, that's why I asked.
And even going back to your heart, because I remember when you would go, obviously working out stimulates your heart rate or pushes your heart rate. And so there's times where due to your diet or due to whatever it was, your heart rate was a little out of control and that stopped you from going to the gym. And then you went and then you not only proved to your heart, you proved to yourself that you can still manage in those situations, right?
Yes.
So it's something that I like to tell people, especially when I'm training, is that we need to remind ourselves that we're always under control of the variables within ourselves. You know, outside, when I tell people outside these doors or outside in the world, we have control over nothing, you know, of the traffic, of the weather, of anything. But when it comes to us, we literally have control of everything inside of us.
Yes. I tell myself that. I'm like, I have control over what's going on.
Within yourself.
Yes. Sorry, within myself. Not everything. I have control over my health because if I do what I'm supposed to be doing, then my anxiety will go away. I don't have to worry about my heart rate rushing up or me feeling anxious or worried. So we kind of, depending on the situation, we do it to ourselves. So,
and then that leads into, I have some points here. The first one is the difference between being alone and feeling lonely. So the difference between being alone and being lonely. So in my opinion, it's different. Like, what do you think about that first?
Difference of being alone and feeling lonely.
So right here, while you're thinking, I have a quote by May Sardin that says, "Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self." Want to say it again?
No, I understand.
No, what do you think about that? No, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a moment or an example. In terms of being alone and feeling lonely.
Yeah. While you're thinking, I mean,
give an example.
Okay. So for
try
me,
to think of one.
The difference between being alone and being lonely is being alone is literally when you're by yourself. It's like you being home alone. You're alone, right? And lonely is when
I was thinking too hard. Okay,
oh yeah, relax. Lonely is when you're in a room of people and you feel alone, right? Yes. So I don't know if everyone has felt that way, but I definitely have, especially because I just tend to think, like, I'm not saying like I'm different or anything, but my mind tends to work in a very particular way, and I'm always wanting to talk about like philosophy and talking about deeper into understandings of life and people's thoughts. Like, that's just how my brain works on default. And people don't necessarily like that. You know, not everyone wants to talk about like the deeper parts of things all the time. So it was hard for me to have conversations on a regular basis with people. So I often felt lonely. You know, like when the conversation came, it was amazing, but it was once in a blue moon. So I often talk to myself, or like, in my opinion, that's what philosophy is. Philosophy is thinking about thought itself. When I'm alone, that going back to my quote, is loneliness is the poverty of self, and solitude is the richness of self. So when I'm alone, I technically call it like solitude. Like, I'm in my solitude. Like, I'm not alone, but I'm with my thoughts and I'm thinking. And at a time, it was very bad. Like, I spiraled out in negative thoughts for the longest time, and I needed to get out of my solitude. And I'm at a point in my life now where my solitude is my peace. Like, I sit and I reflect, and I'm able to think about different schools of thought and ask myself very deep questions that I give myself the ability to answer, and then do research, do studying. And that's why I have right here, I put down philosophy, reasoning, critical thinking, reflection, growth, and most importantly, you're going to like this one, It's resetting your energy. So
yes, that one's my favorite.
Okay, yeah.
I do that a lot.
Resetting your energy. And I think everyone needs to do that. That's why being alone is so important, but being lonely isn't.
That's what's so weird. Like, it's so weird. I think that's why I get into my head too much, because that I love resetting my energy and I could be alone. So I guess it just depends in certain moments, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, like that's it. It's just like when you're alone, it gives you the ability to think about what you think of things. Because we often, as people, we idolize figures or people or celebrities, and then eventually we start to grab their opinions and their ideas and make them our own, and we often lose sight of who we are and what we actually like, you know. So, and also, like, going back to the resetting the energy thing, is we walk into rooms and we interact with people all the time. It's nothing but energy, you know, good energy, bad energy, neutral energy. It's just a bunch of energy. So being alone allows you to be alone with your energy, and you get to sit with yourself. And I have a question right here from Quora.com. Like, it's just segueing into all these points. The question is, I want you to answer this one. The question is, are we in bad company if we're lonely when we're alone? So are you in bad company if you're alone, home alone, but you feel lonely? You know what I mean? Because people should be able to laugh with ourselves, dance with ourselves, ask each other questions, you know?
I never really thought of that. I'm like scratching my head.
What do you think?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. So
what comes to mind?
Like company around you or within like yourself, or what do you mean?
Within yourself. Like, are you in bad company if you're lonely when you're alone? Because again, when you're alone, you should be like you. What you are when you're alone is what you bring to environments. So if you don't like being alone, that's what you're bringing to environments. If not, you're relying off people to be your genuine self. When you're alone is your genuine self. You see what I mean?
It's hard for me to try to answer that because I don't feel that way with myself, even though you may question it like, okay, but you get anxious when you're alone. But
it's normal.
That's not me all the time. Like, it's only me when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my nutrition. So, yeah, that's not me. So it's hard for me to answer it because I don't know what that's like. Which I'm thankful, you know, that I don't know what it's like.
So would you say you're in good company then?
I would say, yeah. I can dance by myself. I could sing by myself. I can laugh at myself. Like, yeah, I talk to myself. Like, who doesn't talk to themselves?
See, like, seeing you like say that, I think it's reverse. People who don't talk to themselves are the weird ones. That's my statement. Because it's like, if you're alone, who do you talk to? You don't talk to anybody? Like, you're
supposed to keep those thoughts in your head? Like, absolutely not.
That seems dangerous to me.
I'm very, can you say it? I overthink a lot.
Me too.
So if I keep those thoughts in my head,
you go crazy.
Yes, there's just no way. And sometimes releasing that and actually hearing it, you're like, oh, well, that sounds dumb. Like, why would I do that? Or why would I think that? Or whatever. So,
like, if you think it sounds but like that's a good thing, because if you think that sounds dumb, it stops you from saying that in front of people, right? It gives you the time to reflect. That's what I mean by reflecting, is like
you're catching yourself too.
Yeah, like
you're hearing
that's
you
huge.
Hear yourself.
That's really big.
So that's why I do talk to myself. And some people think that I'm like,
no, like
who is she talking to?
It's interesting for her because, like, if it's just me and her alone, I'll just hear whispering from like the other room, and I'm like,
God.
It's like the Chamber of Secrets in Harry Potter.
Shut up.
Start speaking snake and stuff. Okay, I'm going on to my next point. This is from jedfoundation.org. The quote is, "One of the greatest benefits of spending time alone is that it can help you develop a better understanding of who you are. The better you know yourself, the more likely you are to do things that you love, learn things that interest you, and spend time with people who make you feel good. That's the benefits of being alone. Do you agree?
I have to contemplate.
It's fine.
That's a lot.
All right, I'm gonna say the last part.
It takes me a minute. Okay,
it's just pretty much.
Some people can get it right away. No, I'm just like, hold on.
That's normal because
I really have to think about this.
That shows that you thought about it. And it shows that what you're gonna say is something that is constructive or worth hearing. You know, if you just spit it out, it'd be like.
I'm like that with a lot of things. Like,
think about like quality over quantity, right? With words themselves, the quality of your words that you're saying is good because you're thinking about it. You're giving yourself time for the wheels to turn. But to go back to this, I'm gonna narrow it down for you. The better you know yourself, the more likely you are to do things that you love. Let's start there. Yeah, and learn things that interest you. So to understand what interests you as a person, you need to be alone with yourself to understand what you like to do. If us as people, going back to the introduction, what we started in, is technology was made to connect us, but managed to drive us further away. And it drove us further away, in my opinion, because more and more people know themselves less and less. Because it's super easy to get that quick dopamine fix and scroll through TikTok or any of the various apps that have reels. So you know what you like in terms of content, but you don't know what you like in terms of activities.
With yourself.
Exactly. So if you like to crochet,
you know what everyone else likes.
Exactly. Like
what about you? What do you like?
Yeah. So
what interests you?
You're getting the gears are turning out. Yeah. That's good. And the next one is spend time with people who make you feel good. So again, in your situation, you call people when you're feeling like anxious from being alone, but those people are usually like mom or like your boyfriend or who, like a friend or whatever. But again, not to talk about people, no judgment at all. But what's stopping people from growing and understanding themselves is they put themselves in the wrong crowds, because people are people. And if it's a good crowd or bad crowd, it beats you being alone. It beats you having to deal with, they call it the stream of consciousness. So the stream of consciousness is our thoughts is like a stream. It's a flow, right? Sometimes some people's stream is too intense that they don't want to sit with it. And they drown in that stream. It's very intense. It's like a waterfall. That's how mine is. It's very intense. It's very hard. But I'm one who loves challenge. So I like to sit with myself and to understand that stream of thought, you know? And so the full quote is the stream of consciousness to depict the multitudinous thoughts of the mind. So your mind is thinking of constantly, especially if you're a person who has like ADHD or ADD, your mind is like, you know, the car, the cat, the fridge, the bathroom, my homework, work, this friend, this thing, you know. So it's so many different revenues of thought that it overwhelms most people, you know. So being alone allows you to also like spend time with yourself and to slow it down and to understand that stream more and understand what is important to you, what's worth letting go and not thinking, and what is worth like thinking about. You know, you know that these people are good energy. These are good people. These people got my back. I'm going to spend time with them because I can be alone, and they're busy, you know, so I'm not in bad crowds and I'm not risking myself or my well-being just to be. You know what I mean?
I have a question that just popped up in my head.
Let's hear it.
What happened to you? Because I know you had said in the beginning that you felt alone when you were in a crowd, right? With friends. Do you remember what happened? Or why you felt that way?
Well, for me, we talked about this in the last podcast where some people, like again, I say all people are spiritual. Some people are very spiritual, meaning that they can really feel energy. They can really, how do I say it? they can really like feel intention and feel things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people are called to isolation. Like, it's just the way the world works. It's just the way some of us have paths we need to walk down. Not everyone has the same path.
Mm-hmm.
My path was, I was called to isolation, mostly because I had a lot of stuff to reflect on within my personality. Like, I wasn't always the greatest person. I wasn't always nice to people. I didn't always have good intentions or good thoughts.
Same.
So life forced me to isolate and to be alone and to reflect. And when I denied that and I tried to force myself into my group of friends or group of people, the response to that was for me to feel overwhelmingly lonely.
Okay.
It's like my purpose was over here and I was away from my purpose in this group of people. And the result of that was me to never be able to connect with these people, which was caused me to feel lonely all the time. And it wasn't only until I stood true to that path that I was given where I was able to connect with people, and because I adjusted myself to be able to connect with people. And that's what it was for me. And what came with that a lot was the fear of missing out. The FOMO, fear of missing out, was I seen all my friends.
I had that for a very long time.
It's crazy.
Barely this year, barely.
Really?
Yeah, the beginning of this year,
Yeah.
I started. I'm like, nope. It's okay to miss out. I have to do what I have to do. I have to go down the path that I need to go down. And it's going to be not lonely, but I have to let go of certain people in order to get to the path, in order to get to where I need to be.
Mm.
And we'll come back, I'm not letting go to be bogus, but sometimes
I felt that. You need to do what needs to be done.
Sometimes those people aren't meant to be on the same path. And sometimes they are. Sometimes, you'll have certain people that are, I don't know how to explain it, but
that are meant to help you on that path, right?
Yeah.
And you only know when you walk it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was one where I'm too stubborn. I tried to force these people along my path with me who weren't supposed to be there. And it just caused irritation. It caused me to act out because I was afraid to walk that path. And it wasn't until
And it's so crazy because we know deep down what to do. We feel it. Yeah. We feel the tension. We feel the energy starting to shift and starting to separate. We're like, no, we try hanging on to those people. And, but eventually it's going to end to where you have no choice.
Yeah. And so I'm a true believer that those people will be forced to hurt us so we can let them go.
Yes.
It's like if I'm holding you and then your hand turns to hot steam and I have to let you go because it just hurts me too much. Mm-hmm. And then you learn the lesson the hard way, which is, I don't know about you, but for me, I learned almost every lesson the hard way because I had to. I was too hard-headed. Things needed to be hammered into me.
Me too.
And that's just life. And it'd be, to me, that's why going back to the topic is being alone served great purposes in my life in terms of growth, Mm-hmm. So we keep looking at the time. It hit 30 minutes. We said we were going to shorten the episodes or shorten the podcast from an hour to 30 minutes, just so it's more condensed conversations. Mm-hmm. I feel like the flow is going well, though. Yeah. And it shows that we're both getting way more comfortable with it. Now that we got points and a structure.
Kind of, sort of, because I was a little sweaty.
You're sweaty?
Well, not my armpits. Why do you look at my armpits?
I didn't look at your armpits, but you just gave yourself away.
Oh, no, I didn't, because my armpits I don't know. I'm not sweaty there. Like, my hands are a little clammy. Yeah. But I think it's just because I feel more vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable topic. Yeah. All of our topics are going to be that way. Yeah. So.
And it serves for the greater good of everybody.
Yeah.
Because if we as people individually aren't willing to talk about it, we are. And hopefully that gives you guys the ability to do the same. And again, our intention is just to help people move further down their paths and get to where they're supposed to be. And the only way to do that is to be vulnerable. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess that wraps up episode 2, which is being alone. Thank you, everybody, for supporting, for sharing, for showing love. It means the world to us. It gives us every reason to keep going, especially when there's people involved, and knowing that we're helping and serving our purpose.
What our intentions are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, thank you guys, and until next. Wait, before I end it, I'm gonna put this in the caption or in the description. Is this podcast will be every Monday and it'll be every Friday. So stay tuned. Look forward to it, and
I'm excited.
It's
gonna be exciting. It's very exciting.
We'll keep showing you guys the unbearable truth. Until next time, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.